and people sent in questions from career, personal life, business, money, and so on. So in a couple of live sessions, I have been responding to many of these questions. I received 100+ questions until I had to deactivate that particular post because there were so many questions, and I was wondering how will I answer all of these questions. So it is the same process. I will be responding to some of your questions that many of you ask, and of course, if you have a question in the course of me responding to these questions, please go ahead and you can throw your questions in the comment sections. Depending on where you're following from right now, this particular broadcast is being streamed in about 7 different Facebook pages that we manage in the community. So you can shoot in your questions if there are any, and we will respond to that question. Welcome again. Thank you so much. Please kindly share. Go ahead and share. I will greatly appreciate if you can share the live session so that more people can join. And again, as I said, we have had a couple of other live sessions with me handling different things from business startup to investments to business growth and so on. So one thing that you can do is you can go to my page under videos. You'll see other live sessions that I have done, or you can also go on YouTube. Just type Javnyuy Joybert on my YouTube channel and you will see other videos, and there are more than 700 videos on that channel talking about business strategy, career growth, money systems and money structures, etc. All right, so let's get into it. After that brief introduction, for the next 30 minutes or so, I will be answering 3 questions that people sent that I have selected to respond to today. Very exciting questions and intriguing questions, which I feel that we are all going to learn from these questions, and of course learn how to do better and to live life in a more productive way, right? So the first question I want to answer is from Ramsey B. Art. Ramsey B. Art. Let me see. Yes, Ramsey B. Art is the first question I want to answer, and his question was, how do I find someone that is willing to help me grow my page and my art business? There is a particular reason that I decided to pick this question. It's going to be deeper than what the question looks like, because a lot of people fail, especially in their startup businesses, because there are certain intricacies that they don't know how to handle as far as building a business is concerned, right? So his question was, how do I find someone that is willing to help me grow my page and my art business? Now, in the business landscape, there is nobody who is out there to help people for free. So it's either you are asking the question, how do I find an expert to pay so the expert can get this done for my business? There are many people that have stranded ideas and visions for years because they are looking for people to help them. Of course, there are people available to help, but that happens on a very rare circumstances, right? So if you are going to build a business, you need to transition. And why did I pick this question? When you are in a startup phase of building your business, many a times you have 2 options. You have 2 options when you're starting up a business. There are some things that either you learn how to do it yourself, or you have the money to pay people to do. In some cases, you can be fortunate enough to have friends and family members or interns and volunteers who can get those things done for you for free. But it's very rare. It's in a very rare cases, right? Very rare case. Therefore, if you are in a startup business like this gentleman, your job is not to find who can do a particular thing for free. You can get lucky enough to stumble on somebody. However, if you are building a business, as the question says, how do I find someone that is willing to help? And of course, very few people are willing to help. Time is money. People have bills to pay. They want to do things. They want to give value and get paid for their value so they can take care of their livelihood, right? But am I saying that are there not people who are willing to help? Of course, there are many people who are willing to help, right? But how many of them compared to the number of people who are looking for help? The number is very slim, okay? So if you're in a startup business like this gentleman, you can do two things. Number one, you can decide to learn the things that you need in your business and do it yourself. Because many a times in the startup phase, your money is always limited. I always say that any startup business goes through what I call limited lifestyle. Everything to a startup is limited. Limited money, limited employees, limited products, limited materials. Everything is always limited at a startup level. That is normal for startups to go through. So his challenge was, how can he find somebody who will help him build his social media page, right, and his art business? Okay, now in this case, either he can pay a social media expert, he can pay a digital marketing expert, or a smart entrepreneur will decide to go through the pains, will decide to go through the process of learning effective social media marketing and digital marketing skills so he can use in his own business and grow that business. Because as a startup already, if he's asking this question, it means he does not have the money to pay an expert to get that thing done. So when you're building a business, there are stages where you ask the question, what can I do to move my business forward? And then there is a stage where you arrive where you start asking, who can I hire? Who can I pay to get this thing done for me? And these are different stages in business, right? So if I were him, the question should not be, how can I find someone who is willing to help me for free to grow my page so I can grow my business? The question should be, what can I do to learn? Where can I go to learn social media marketing and digital media marketing so I can grow my page and expand my business? You get the difference. When you do that, it becomes easy for you to transition from that particular stage. That is why if you see a typical startup entrepreneur, most of them know how to do a lot of things at the basis or at the intermediate or even advanced level. For example, me, right? I do flyers, I can edit videos, I can do a lot of things because I was forced to learn these things because I didn't have money to pay an expert. It's not like now where I can be able to afford some people and pay them for the expertise to do it better than what I am doing. You get the difference? So we need to understand that. So if you are in the same pot of soup like this gentleman who asked this question, here are the things I would recommend you to do. Okay, and there's one live session I intensively taught about the power of social media attention. I said social media attention is now one of the most highly powerful income generating skills in businesses. You need to know how to build social media attention, manage the attention, and monetize that particular attention, right? Good. So tips on if you are in this particular pot of soup and you're thinking of how you can grow your social media page so you can be able to grow your business. Number one, start by choosing the right platforms. Depending on the business that you are in, there are some platforms that you have to make them priority more than other platforms. The kind of business you do determine the kind of social media platform you should be on, right? For example, this gentleman he runs an art business, right? So he needs to be on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and before even Facebook, right? Because those are the kind of platforms that you can easily shine your work in terms of fashion, art, and all of that. That is very important. Okay. The second thing that he needs to do after he has picked up the platform is study how to use the platforms. Study how to use the platforms. There are many people that all they do is they just post on Facebook. They snap a picture and they post. They write content and they post. They do this and they post. But they have not spent time to do research. What is Facebook really about? All these functions on Facebook, what are the uses? What are more advanced functions I am not using? How does Facebook algorithms work? How does this, how does that? Some people have never even just gone to the Facebook page or Facebook website just to study, or Facebook YouTube channel or Facebook blog post just to study the latest updates and how the platform works. How do you intend to shine on a platform when you don't understand how the platform works, right? That's the second thing you should do. The third thing you should do is master the content ideas that trend on those platforms. The kind of content that will go viral on Facebook may not be the same kind of content that will go viral on LinkedIn. And the kind of content that can go viral on Instagram will not be the same kind of content that can go viral on TikTok or whatever platform. So when you do that, you need to study, master the content ideas, and relate it to your kind of business. The way a fashion designer can create content and their style of content is not the same way that somebody who is in agriculture, for example, or somebody who is into nursing or public health can create content. No. The industry, what you do, you're targeting the platform, all of these affect the style of your content, right? The fourth thing is consistency, right? There are some customers that will only buy from you when you command a certain level of credibility, and consistently showing up and posting content that relates to your products, your services, and what you're selling is very important. There are people watching you, and until you consistently show up for the next couple of weeks and months, they will not trust you, right? And online is very public, and there are also bad eggs who are infiltrating the online platforms and are scammers, and they're telling lies, so people are skeptical. So many times consistency is one of those things that separate those who are serious and those who are just scammers. You understand? So, and there is no way that you can post content once a month or once a week or irregularly and expect to sell on social media. There's no way, because algorithms favor those who consistently show up on social media, right? The fifth thing that you're going to do, if I was this gentleman who asked this question, is engagement. Let him grow engagement, responding to comments, responding to messages, trying to consistently position himself where people can ask him questions and he can reply, and he can also engage in other people's positions, right? The sixth thing that he can do is paid advertising. Okay, if he can start, when he start making some money, he can invest in paid advertisement. He can do paid ads for 1 week, for 10 days, 7 days, 20 days, whatever. Spend $5 a day. He can talk to somebody who is good at that, who he can do research and do it on his own, and he will be able to do that effortlessly. So I hope that the young man who asked the question, how do I find someone that is willing to help me grow my page and my art business, can got some ideas on how to do that. The next question I want to answer is from Nazira Ishak. Right. Welcome again, everybody. Thank you so much for all the comments, for all the shares. I hope that you are picking up a few points that are good for business. If you have questions, please drop them on the comment section. If when I'm done answering these questions, I will definitely respond to all of those questions that are coming in live. For those who are joining the session right now, this is a series of live sessions that I have been doing for the last couple of, like 6 weeks, started 6 weeks ago, where I created a poll and I asked people to submit questions that they would like me to answer. And I received about 100+ questions. I had to deactivate that particular post so I could answer all the questions and all of that. Good. For those who are following right now and they're into business, I was just talking about business. I am launching the 11th batch of my 2 months business strategy and growth training program. If you are thinking of starting a business or you're already in business and you want to scale it to the next level, you can enroll for that particular program. Just send me an inbox message and I'll give you the conditions. Right, good. So the next question is, how can I make my shoe business to grow? So she runs a shoe business. Maybe she sells shoes, right? So it is very important. I always like to say that I like people who ask me business questions around growth. Anybody who is running a business and you're serious about that business, one of the things that I vet to see if you're serious about the business is to see if, do you think about scaling? Do you think about growing? And do you sometimes just envision your business where it will be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, right? Very important. So how can I make my shoe business to grow? So she sells shoes. She buy and sell shoes, right? So how can she make it to grow? So there are a couple of points that I could share on this, but 2 days ago, I did a particular question where I focused purely on growth strategies that people can take to grow their businesses, right? But in this particular case, I want to be more specific. Number one is leverage on social media. These kind of businesses, I call them social lifestyle businesses. Any business where you're doing something that people need to look good or make an impression, they are very powerful businesses. I like to call them socially driven businesses, right? And in this dispensation, like from the last 10 years until maybe the next 100 years, if you're in a business that is a lifestyle business, shoes, clothing, fashion in general, cosmetics, all of this kind of stuff, if there is one skill, if there is one thing that I will encourage you to master to the top, to the highest level, is social media. Social media. Whether you're a small scale, large scale, whatever, master social media. Master how to use the various social media platforms. It's going to help you in a very big way to grow your lifestyle business. Okay, so leverage social media. Leverage social media for marketing and for sales. Create compelling content that showcases your shoes, that tells the brand story behind your shoes and highlight customer testimonials. Okay, so dig deep, go beyond just snapping and posting. Understand the intricacies of telling the story behind the shoe. Understand how to create videos and take those videos in a way that they're engaging, they're innovative, they're creative, and can strike curiosity and make people desire to do business with you, right? Highlight the testimonials of your clients, as simple as when a client buys a shoe from you, ask them, please, if you're going for an event, can you take a picture of that event and share with me? And if it's okay with you, I'll share this on my social media handles. Story, perception, impression, branding, very important, right? The second thing you can do to grow your shoe business, for this the lady that asked this question, is expand your product offerings. It's very important. Don't only sell shoes. Find a way to expand your product line to include shoe accessories, right? Like insoles, laces, cleaning products. In Cameroon, we call it polish. Anything that can be an accessory to a shoe, sell it. Expand that value chain and own it and begin to sell it. You understand? It's going to give people more value, and it's going to help you do what they call upselling. You can, when somebody buys only a shoe, you can upsell to that person and they buy more from you. One good thing is that as a business person, you need to be very skillful at influencing customers to spend more money when they are in your business side, right? When they are in your business premises. A good businessman should be able to do that, right? So if you're able to increase your product offerings around the shoes that you're selling, you will be able to actually sell more and get more customers. The next thing that I will talk about is learn how to create brand loyalty. Learn how to create brand loyalty. Learn how to, intentionally create structures and systems, or talk to your customers. Let them know, even if somebody is buying from you for the first time, let them know, look, because you have bought for this particular amount, when next you come, I'm giving you 10% off because of this, right? It's very important. So find ways to create that brand loyalty and activities to promote that. The fourth thing I can share is that, business is changing a lot. Business is growing. And research says that relationship marketing has become one of the most powerful ways to consistently make sales and upsell or enjoy what they call customers' lifetime value, right? Some of these things that I'm saying may sound very complex, but they're very practical. Unfortunately, this is just a 30-minute live video and I cannot teach this. That's why I run the 2-month business training program, where I teach people the art of business strategy, execution, and growth. And when they take it, they go expand their businesses. We have testimonies of people making multi-millions after taking the program, because it's practical, it's structured. You know what to go do with your business to take it to the next level, right? So, I wanted to talk about relationship marketing. For example, I want to give an example. If I am if I am selling shoes, right? One of the things that I will embody is relationship marketing. If I'm selling shoes for men or even women, right? I must build one of my brands or a brand element around selling shoes to corporate men, for example. And I can decide to start attending business events just so I can establish relationships with people in the corporate world, because it is guaranteed that these people will always buy shoes as long as they are working, right? And when you meet them, you can establish that one-on-one relationship where you can personalize the relationship, instill into them who you are and why they can do business with you and the extra benefits of working with you. You understand? Now, the benefit of this is you will enjoy what they call customer's lifetime value. Customer's lifetime value is how much money a customer spends when they're still doing business with you. So the more a customer stays with you in a business relationship, the more you're going to get money from them. If a customer stays with you for 5 years, for 10 years, the more they're going to spend money within that 10 years. And within that 10 years, you are enjoying the value that the customer is spending that time with you. And many a times, to enjoy customers' lifetime value, relationship marketing is the foundation where you can really enjoy long-term customers' lifetime value. So if you are selling shoes, for example, you can decide to attend networking events, business conferences, corporate events, events just for the purpose of networking, establish a relationship. You meet somebody, instead of saying you're a shoe seller, you say, hey, my name is Joybert and I sell corporate shoes to exceptional people like you. Create good pitches, good presentations. The way when you present the shoe, people are like, what? Are you just selling shoes, right? But you're selling something more. You're selling perception. You're selling a brand. You're selling a conception. You're selling a story. You're selling a style of selling shoes. You get the point? So it's going to help you a lot. Don't just sit in your store or by the roadside and do business like every other person. No, business is changing, and you also need to change, right? Another thing that I may add relating to that is learn how to engage in community events where you can display your shoes, right? Because the point is, the more people can see you, the more chances you have to sell, right? So many a times I always tell my clients when I'm providing business consulting, one tradition I have is I always tell them, look, don't only track the metrics or the numbers of how many people bought from you, also track the numbers of how many people inquired. You see, because the more people inquire from you, the more chances you have to sell, the more chances you have to make money, right? Because if you stay in your shop and you're waiting for people to come, your business is at the mercies of if people come. And if it's not good for business, a good business person engineers opportunities to sell. But when you're waiting, you're depending on luck, and luck is not good for business. Like I always like to say, guesswork and assumption never build a business. Sitting in your shop and assuming that people will see you and come is not a business strategy. Yes, it's a way that we have grown seeing the way they do business, but business has changed from that dimension to a way different dimension. The way the landscape is competitive now is not the same way it used to be in the 1980s, 1990s, and even the 2000s, the early 2000s, right? So think of that particular concept. So I hope the lady that asked the question how she can grow her shoe business in Douala can know what to do after this. And of course, other people who are running small businesses, I hope you picked up a couple of ideas that you can contextualize in your business. We're already 30 minutes into this. This was supposed to be just 30 minutes, right? Good. I hope you're getting some value, everybody. Good. Awesome. So the last question I want to answer based on the questions submitted to me is a very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. What do I invest in that brings me ready cash while sleeping? Everybody would like to know my response to this question. What do I invest in that will bring me ready money while I am sleeping? Who else wants to make ready money while they are sleeping? Let me see. If you want to make ready money while you're sleeping, can you leave me a comment? Let me check if there are other questions so far. If you are ready to make easy money while you're sleeping, let me know. All right. I was checking if there are any previous questions that people want me to answer apart from these ones. Okay. All right, good. So, this lady asked me the question, what do I invest in that brings me ready cash when I am sleeping or while I am sleeping? I could not stop laughing when I saw this question, right? So the lady is asking the question from Bamenda, I think. For those who are not Cameroonians on the page, Bamenda is in the northwest region of Cameroon, all right? We have top performing members from this community are from Cameroon, Nigeria, UAE, Dubai, United States, Ghana. I think those are the top 5 countries or 6 countries on the page. All right, so let me address this question squarely. How to make money while you are sleeping. Tag your neighbor that Papa is about to release Rema. Right? When I read this question, I could not stop laughing. I was like, oh, geez. I could not stop laughing. I have my reasons for laughing, and I'll tell you why I was laughing and why it was so fun for me. Right? So, I will tell you why. But the first thing I would like to say is that be careful of anybody who presents a money-making system and add the word sleep, because it's a marketing stunt. Marketing is a big part of psychology, right? So marketers and salespeople know that the human mind, as humans, we are designed to be lazy. We love easy things. We love effort. Anything that doesn't need hard work and resilience and dedication and commitment, we will quickly be attracted to it. So that is why they now craft things and they put make money while you sleep. Life is easy, or freedom, or this, do this while you travel, and all of that. The purpose is to get you interested and spend money on them, and they don't care what happens to you when you're spending money on them, right? So it's very important to be conscious of that if you're looking for that. But are there ways to make money much faster and much strategic? I prefer the word strategic than the word easy, than the word sleeping. Yes, I mean, you can sleep and money comes in, but there is a place where you get. There are systems behind the scenes that you have to put into place, and those systems begin to create value and exchange the value for money. And you don't just wake up and enter that dimension where money is coming in effortlessly, right? There's a process to get there. There is a structure to get there, and we need to do that. Now, the first thing or the second thing I want to talk about this question, and the question is, what do I invest in that brings me ready cash while sleeping? The second thing I want to talk about is, there are certain concepts that do not work in all environments. There are certain things that can work in Canada, can work in the United States, can work in the UK, can work in Germany, but cannot work in Cameroon, cannot work in Nigeria, cannot work in Kenya, cannot work in Ghana. Why? The difference in policy, infrastructure, institutions, and lack of skill. A lot of things play behind the scenes that limit a lot of stuff. Let's go to as basic as monetizing Facebook page. It's very possible in the United States, in Canada, and different countries, but it's totally impossible in Cameroon. If you see somebody monetizing in Cameroon, they have actually created their page and they have edited the settings to say that, you know, they are based in Canada or out of Cameroon or out of Africa, and then the page is monetizable. You get the difference. So there are a lot of things behind the scenes. So anybody who is excited about or looking, how can I invest money or how can I make money while I am sleeping, especially in a certain context like the African context, you need to start editing that mindset. Because it is true that you can make money while sleeping, but it's not yet applicable in all environments. And Africa, typically sub-Saharan Africa, Cameroon, Semak, and all of that, are a typical example of the environment where things like that can no longer work. And I'm going to give you, for example, I'm going to give you just, I know tens of them, right? But I'm going to give you just about 14 ways that you can make money while sleeping, right? But I'm going to tell you, and say, okay, it works here, but it cannot work here because of this and that. And so that you can understand it better. For example, the most popular one in around the world is dividend stock. You buy dividends in companies, but you buy stock in companies, and at the end of the year or every quarter or whatever time, right, they give you dividends or some profit because of the stock that you own in that company. Now, how many of you listening to me in Africa, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, all of that, how many of you know your stock exchange market? How many of you know where it is located? When last did you hear news about the stock market? But of course, there are people in Canada, US, UK, and different countries that own stocks in different companies, and when they sleep, as long as those companies are operating, they're making money while they're sleeping. So you see, it's not applicable in Cameroon because of infrastructure issues and policy issues and poor execution and bad leadership. Right? The second way to make money, this one is possible in Cameroon, real estate investment. Now the challenge is many people, especially in our age group or 35 and downward, cannot do real estate investment because of policy issues. Again, there are in Cameroon, I've forgotten, but there's a particular age in Cameroon where you cannot even own a land title. Those kind of things begin to limit, investments and all of that, right? Secondly, capital. How many people between the age of 35 and downward can buy a land and develop that land into a state where they can give out for rent and begin to sleep, and that real estate is making money, right? You see, it becomes a challenge. But in other countries, there's a way you can do a good down payment, and the way the system is structured, with a good down payment, you can start your real estate business easily. In the United States, I have met people, young people that are Canada the same, who are just 25, 26, and they are real estate investors, and they're doing well, and they own real estate. The difference is the system that enables them to do that. You don't need all the millions to start a real estate business. You just need the right history, the right what they call credit history, credit worthiness, and a good down payment and all of that. You follow the due process, get licensed, get the training, and you're good to go. But that is not structured like that in Cameroon and other African countries. You see, that is the difference. The third way that you can make money while sleeping, which works, but the context is different in different contexts, is real estate investment trust. Right? For those who don't know, real estate investment trust can offer a way to invest in real estate without you really owning the real estate or managing the real estate. The first one, the real estate investment, is where you can buy a land, build a house, and put on rent. Right? Which we see that in Cameroon, but mostly by the elderly people or those who are lucky enough to make money early and buy a land and do that. But looking at the Cameroon context, where majority of the people are in the lower class and the middle class, few people can afford to buy land and build it and put it on rent, right? It becomes a challenge because of financial difficulties, or because what the World Bank talks about, many people living within the poverty line, some living below the poverty line, and some living just above the poverty line. It becomes a challenge. But the fourth way that you can make money while sleeping is real estate investment trust, right? But this is not really in Cameroon and many other African countries. But this is a trust where you can just go put in money, even if it's just $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, depending on how much you have, into that trust, and then they take your money, and that trust now buy lands, buy houses, renovate, put it on rent, resell. As they are making profit, they give you a share of your profit based on how much you invested in that trust. Now, how many trusts do we have in Cameroon? How many trusts do we have in Nigeria? Just small Jangi, where people gather to play in Jangi. Everybody comes and gather, gives small money, and they give to one person. There's always fighting in that place. There's no policy, there's no structure, there's no integrity. A lot of things are lacking to even make that work, because Jangis are typical examples of initiatives that could have grown up to become real estate investment trust. But in a country where a judge can be bribed anyhow, in a continent where a police officer can be bribed anyhow, it now makes it difficult for certain things to happen, right? So, the fourth way that people make money while sleeping in different countries around the world is what they call peer-to-peer lending. What is peer-to-peer lending? This is where online, legit, legal, licensed platforms where you have money, you go put in that online platform and you lend small business owners, right? People who have businesses that they need immediate cash, quick cash. They can come borrow from you 1,000, 200,000 francs, 1 million, whatever. If you have the money, you give it with high interest rate, and then they come and pay back. Those people are vetted, they have gone through due diligence, and all of that is sure. These peer-to-peer lending, they're very popular in stable countries like maybe South Africa, for example, Canada, European countries, and of course United States. Some of them are a lot in how they call it, Nigeria. Many of them rising in Nigeria, but they were also started having a lot of issues if you follow that kind of news, right? But the context in Cameroon, due to maybe technology, maybe the way that we are not, our system is not well democratized in the way that data flows and technology and a lot of things are not yet in place to accommodate peer-to-peer lending, right? So it becomes a challenge. Another way to make money while sleeping is what they call high-yielding accounts. There are some banks, this is very good with investment banks, where you go and open a high-yielding savings account and, you know, you put money there. It's low risk, but it does not generate a lot of income. But it's another way when you put money in that high yield investment account or savings account, it can, you know, maybe 7% annually or 10% annually or 12% annually. It depends on the country and the investment bank that is running that particular initiative. But how many banks around us run that and they really promote that as a service, right? So it becomes kind of challenging. Another one is treasury securities. This one happens a lot, but the challenge is information. What are treasury securities? This is where government issue bonds and they provide a fixed interest rate over a period of time. Cameroon government issue a lot of bonds. I mean, I've heard a lot of them on the news, right? One of the challenges here is, I think two major challenges is, many people don't follow that kind of news. We're in a generation where we focus on entertainment more, right? And we miss out on relevant news that can help us grow our finances. The second is, how many people have the money to buy the bonds? If the minimum amount to buy a bond is 2 million, 5 million, all of that, maybe just a particular class of people would have the savings to just buy the bonds and then wait. And the challenge also is credibility of the government, right? Many African countries and their governments, they have the track record of never paying anything on time. When you do contracts for the government, instead of the government paying after 1 year, you now need to bribe and they pay after 5 years, right? You buy a bond for the government, and instead of the government paying after a particular time, when the bond is matured, you need to start bribing again the Ministry of Finance before they ever pay your bond, and they start falling papers here and there. But in countries where the structures are there, the policies are there, everything is there, when the bond matured, it's paid immediately, right? Again, the context, right? Another one is corporate bonds. Corporate bonds are the same like government bonds, but they're issued by companies. See, I could give many of this. Another one is what? Equity. You can get equity in startups, right? Where you see a business in Cameroon around you, a young startup business. You go to that startup and say, okay, look, this your business is good. I like the business. Or even the startup comes to you and all of that. It's okay, you know what? I'm going to give you 2 million. I'm going to give you 500,000 francs. I'm going to give you 1 million francs. But I want equity in your startup. You're going to give me 10%, 5%, 20% of your business. At the end of the year, when you calculate your total profit, you give me 20% of that profit. Now, the challenge is, number one, we're in a community where everybody wants to be a CEO. But many people do not know that all the greatest entrepreneurs and founders in the world, they don't own up to 15% of their companies. They have thousands of shareholders and equity owners. That's the difference, right? The second thing is integrity. Sometimes you agree to give your money to a startup, however, the startup may not live up to the expectations. The third thing is very risky. A startup can die out anytime. A small business can die out anytime due to poor skills, the environment, general economic challenges, political issues, and all of that. So it becomes risky and it becomes slow, right? Again, so you see that there are many ways to make money while sleeping. But for us in Cameroon, Nigeria, and other countries that we fondly call them developing countries, it becomes a big challenge because that context, where we are, the policy, the infrastructure, a lot of things, the governance, the leadership, a lot of things do not permit us to be able to enjoy from these different money-making systems. And in the last couple of years, like especially in the last 4 years, from 2018 to date, I'm sure you must have discovered a lot of investment schemes that come up and they die after a few months, come up, they die after 2 years. I'm sure you have discovered that, right? So a lot of pyramid schemes are around us in the name of investment companies, and they are not investment companies. They are just scammers who create a corporate structure. Meanwhile, the aim behind it is to steal from people. So when they do that, in the first 6 months or first 8 months, they operate very legally and very effective. And in the next 6 months, their plan is to scoop all the money and disappear into thin air, and there's nothing you can do. Why? It takes us back to policies and governance, because in countries where if you take somebody to court, they'll bribe the judge, bribe the police, bribe everybody, and you, a struggling young man from a middle class family, you don't have all the money to go and bribe whoever, right? So these people make all the money, they use part of the money, they bribe the whole system into their favor, and there's nothing you can do. So you see, all of this. So the person who asked the question in Bamenda, what do I invest in that brings me money when I am sleeping? It's a good question, but it's being asked by the wrong person in the wrong location. So the question you should be asking is, how can I acquire the right skills and create good value and monetize that value and get paid? When you do that, you can now grow your income, and you can start with the very investment structure that is working in the context where we are in Cameroon. You can buy land, build a house, and put the house on rent or resell the house, right? Or if you are good with business, you can raise money, invest in a heavy business, or invest in agriculture or whatever, but make sure you have the skills and the knowledge to make it grow. Because it is one thing to start a business, and it is another thing to grow that business into a very economically viable business. You get the difference? All right, so think of these things I have shared, and I hope that the session was insightful for the people that joined. Thank you again, everybody, for being part of the live session. This was supposed to be 30 minutes, a 30-minute session, but we have been here for 50 minutes in total. After tomorrow, hopefully there will be another live session for me to answer 3 more questions. For those who are still joining right now, you can rewatch, replay, and of course get the tips I shared on growing the social media and monetizing it. I shared on growing a shoe business or a lifestyle related business, fashion, and all of that. And of course, the concept of making money while you are sleeping and what you should do and or not do. I hope it was insightful, it was relevant for you. Thank you to everybody who commented and who shared. God bless you and have a great evening. Cheers. Again, I'm forgetting. I said earlier, we are currently recruiting, doing admission for our 2 months business strategy and growth training program for 2 months, where I teach you the art, the science, the practical way. It's the 11th batch. Also, we're admitting entrepreneurs and executives right now. We'll teach you the art of business growth, business execution and strategy and all of that, and even idea validation, how to get an idea into the market, launch the idea, all of those things. We're teaching it in this 2 months mini MBA. We're calling it mini MBA program because we're taking it the practical side, marketplace, real-time MBA strategy way of teaching, that very practical. And for the 2 months, whatever you're doing on your business idea and all of that. If you're interested to enroll for the 2 months, just about 5 spots are left. So if you're interested, you can send me a message inbox wherever you're following this, and I will personally reach out to you and get you admitted into that program. God bless you and keep building that dream. Cheers.